probably heard of Persona before. With the popularity of Persona 5 and Persona 3 recently getting a remake, it's one of the most well-known game series within the JRPG community, thanks to their incredible stories and gameplay. What you might not know is that these games actually have anime adaptations, and I don't think they get all the attention they deserve. In this video, I'd like to focus on the Persona 3 adaptations. Since it's my favorite one, we'll only be looking at the first movie. So please, join me as we go through the entirety of Persona 3, I think. Our protagonist walks into Iwa Todai dorm, where we meet this little guy. He pulls out a contract, asking for his name and signature. Now, because Persona 3 is based on a game, this is the part where the player picks the character's name. Because of this, there's actually a bit of debate as to what his canon name actually is. While Lesson franchise fans will tell you his name is either Makoto or Minato, his canon name is actually Chad Thundercock. However, in order to avoid confusion, I will be referring to him as Makoto Yuki. Makoto signs the contract, and, after giving a little speech, the child goes back to the realm of death and darkness where all lawyers live. Surely this won't be important later. After that experience, we now meet Yukari Takeba, whose main character trait is attempting to exercise her Second Amendment rights against Makoto. Fortunately, we also meet Mitsuru Kirijo, and since emo together strong, she attempts to calm Yukari down and show him to his room. While Makoto wonders why she has a gun, he's desperately trying to hit, so questions can be saved for later. Moving on, Gekugan High. This is the school Makoto transferred into, and it's got some neat things about it, like being built on an entirely man-made island and having this guy, who happens to be the resident class clown. After class, Yukari is called in by the school chairman and Mitsuru, where she's giving a totally not disturbing amount of information regarding our lovely emo. Apparently, Makoto's parents died in an accident 10 years ago, and he's been bouncing from place to place ever since. It seems Mitsuru and the chairman have taken an interest in him for some unknown reason. However, for now, they will ask Yukari to monitor his activities. Speaking of Makoto, hallucination time! As it turns out, that contract would be important later. This is the Velvet Room, a mental space that can only be entered by those who have signed the contract, and it's inhabited by the human equivalent of a borzoi dog and this creature. Their names are Elizabeth and Igor, and they will be aiding Makoto in utilizing his power. Whatever that's supposed to mean. Days go by, until one day, at midnight, the dorm is attacked by something. Mitsuru orders to evacuate the building, and sends Takeba to wake up Makoto. Wait, how did he get changed so fast? Sweet! Man-made horrors beyond my comprehension. They run up to the rooftop, but unfortunately, the monster catches up to them. Well, at least that gun will finally be useful. I didn't mean it like that. I'm sure Yuki has a better idea.
Your purpose in life is to be in that chat, blowing a dick baby. Your life is nothing. You serve zero purpose. You should kill yourself now.
Makoto manages to summon a persona, a spirit capable of aiding its user in battle with its powers. However, it seems to be an uphill battle, as Makoto can barely damage his opponent. On his last stand, Makoto decides to lock in and summon the one and only, the GOAT himself, the LeBron James of the Persona series. Thanatos!
Yeah, the time's now. Burn my dread in the drain, I'm fearless now. I'm pretending to be, no pain to see. From the bottom of my heart, I'm ready to seize the day. Cause I know in your heart there's a spot for me. Believing in the game and possibilities. It's more like a gift that I don't deserve. So I gotta give it back to you by all means. By all means necessary. Anybody else to y'all is secondary. Time's running out if you have any. Don't worry, I'm invincible, so legendary. If I fall down, I'm gonna get back up. Right back up, man, to where I left off. But I feel the battle because I got my crew on my back. You know I'm already.
After wiping the floor with the monster, Thanatos transforms back into Makoto's first persona and decides to fuck off for the next 3 hours of the anime. Hey look, it's these two again! We find ourselves in the Velvet Room once more, where Igor reveals that Makoto has been in a coma for approximately 2 weeks. However, that is not what's important now. He explains that Makoto's special power is the ability to possess multiple personas and change between them. This is where Elizabeth comes in, as she will summon multiple personas when the time is right. So whenever the plot demands it, basically.
Hey, you. Finally awake.
We find ourselves back into reality. In a hospital, which is usually what happens if you get hit by a bullet. Takeba has been waiting for Yuki to wake up, and when he does, she apologizes for not telling him the real reason why they transferred him into the dorm. She wants Makoto to know the whole truth, so she invites him into the dorm at night, where everything will be explained. He also lives there, so it's not like he has a choice or anything. He heads to the dorm as Yukari requested. When he enters, everyone is waiting for him, including 2 new faces. First is Shuji Ikutsuki, the school chairman. He is the physical manifestation of bro thinks he's on the team. And then there's Akihiko Sanada, the local gym bro who snorts protein powder. He's also the guy who got beat up at the start of the movie, but we don't talk about that.
さて、早速で悪いが、君はひょっとして1日が24時間じゃないことを知っていたんじゃないのか？はい。そっか。君も知っての通り、影時間は隠された時間だ。適性を持った者にのみ深夜の時に必ずやってくる1日と1日の狭間の時間。
As it turns out, every day at 12, there's a secret period of the time called Dark Hour. During this hour, only a few handful of people can function or even be aware of its existence. Ignoring the implication that everyone who experiences it gets 1 extra hour of sleep for free, Mitsuru explains that there has been a recent epidemic of the very creatively named apathy syndrome, which does exactly what you think it does. She elaborates that these cases are caused by shadows, the monsters that attack the dorm, and that they can only be defeated by the power of persona. Holy shit, guys, that's the name of the movie! In short, everyone at the dorm is actually a persona user, and they're part of a secret organization called the Specialized Extracurricular Execution Squad, or SEAS for short. Mitsuru finally asks Makoto to join them in their operations as an official member of SEAS. However, this is an incredibly difficult choice. Makoto will be putting his life, his friends, everything he holds dear on the line for the good of all mankind.
わかりました。
Okay, no, I guess we're doing this now. They hand Yuki his very own unregistered firearm, which are actually called evokers, and they're used for summoning personas. He also gets an armband, which does nothing, but it does look pretty cool. Anyway, remember this guy? Yeah, so his name is Junpei, and he's a part of SEAS now. I knew they were low on members, but they can't be that low. Huh, I wonder how they've gone for so long with so little members. Akihiko and Mitsuru decide that it is time for the first operation with their new members, so they head to school at midnight.
で、 ここ学校じゃないですか。いいから見てろ。もうすぐ0時になる。
Turns out, the island was a little too man-made and it turns into this thing during the dark hour. This is Tartarus, and it's the nest of these freaks. They suspect it contains the key to ending the dark hour, so they will start exploring it tonight. Despite being the strongest, Akihiko will not help them, because his tummy hurts ever since he got styled on by the shadow. Mitsuru will be helping them as the team navigation, so that leaves all the work to Makoto and the homies.
Reality, never be charity. The enemy you're fighting covers all society. Damn right, mommy's not here, gonna fight all night. Right here, shadow 10 o'clock direction. Seize the moment, destroy the nation. You rhyme slow motion, give me motivation. Breathe out now, and then on arrival. Round up around, spit out all over. Rhyme like a rolling stone, come in the crowd. Watch out the moon, they diss you loud. Guess what this sound and bombs whole ground. So round up, don't ease your pace, cause enemies brutal. Moment of truth, there ain't no truth. You're the only one world, one love. But the battle goes on, shadows on mass destruction.
Yukari and Junpei both summon their personas. Io, Master of the Wind, and Hermes, Master of Minor Concussion. The team manages to lose to a sentient Beyblade, so Makoto has to lock in and clip this guy on Twitter. Guys, I think shooting yourself might be bad for your health.
俺だってあのくらい。
A week passes, and Junpei is tasked with delivering an item of extreme importance to Akihiko, so they head to the hospital and... Wait, what were we talking about? They deliver the item of extreme importance, and Akihiko informs them that his condition is improving. He tells them that all of his training is so that he can be more powerful to fight for Seas. And Yuki left. On the strip mall, Yuki stumbles upon this girl he met at school getting bullied. He helps her pick up her stuff, and as thanks, she chooses to buy him some takoyaki. I think that's how you pronounce that. Makoto decides to give some advice to Cabbage Head over here, and instructs her to just stop caring. Truly, a generational talent in the field of psychology. Back at the dorm, Makoto is kept awake reminiscing about his conversation that day. As he does, this guy shows up again. He says some vaguely threatening stuff about how something bad is going to happen and how Makoto knows what that means. Before he can ask anything, he disappears. We can only assume that he later went on to post this as a 4chan green text. Unfortunately, we don't have the time to wonder if this will be important later, as Mitsuru is picking up a massive signal in the train station. We can only assume caused by the presence of your mom. The team arrives to investigate, and they'll do this by getting onto the monorail tracks. This works because all technology is disabled during the dark hour, except for Mitsuru's bike, which is super special magic awesome and works anyway. Surely this won't be important later. They climb onto the monorail, as Takeba points out how if it was moving before, the doors should be closed. The monorail takes personal offense with this, so it closes the doors and starts moving. Mitsuru directs them to the front wagon, where whatever is moving the monorail is located. Upon receiving this information, Junpei decides that he's going to solo this, only accompanied by his inferiority complex and his legally mandated gun. Makoto seems to take issue with this, but decides to just hit him with the stare. To Junpei's credit, he does make it surprisingly far. He gets to the front wagon, and upon opening the door, he finds this possessed piece of toilet paper waiting for him at the other side. Despite his best efforts, Junpei is unable to beat the Shadow. Makoto gives it a go of his own, but he doesn't fare much better. Makoto has formed a bond with Junpei. In doing so, Igor bestows access to him to a new persona, Jack Frost, whose ability is conveniently to absorb ice magic. This allows Junpei to summon Hermes once more and finish off the Shadow.
Gear down. Gently now, you just want to kiss the ground. Just a little peck, a smooch like you're kissing your sister. I said kiss it!
After the operation, Makoto and Junpei grow up, putting aside their differences for when they both failed exams miserably. Next morning, two students are found at the school entrance afflicted with apathy syndrome. Mitsuru believes this is connected to Tartarus, however Junpei disagrees. He claims to have heard a rumor of the ghost of a missing student that has been haunting the school, and he believes that it is responsible for what happened to these students. They don't believe him, however, because despite shooting themselves to fight demons with the power of their hearts, ghosts are where they draw the line. As they don't have any other clues regarding these students, they move on to other matters. Speaking of, Cabbage Head is back. Her name is Fuka Yamagishi, and they discover that she has the potential. This means that she can use a persona and become conscious during the dark hour, which in turn means that it is time to offer her a full unpaid internship on SEAS. Junpei tries to find Fuka the next day at school since he's desperately trying to hit, and Makoto tags along because he understands the struggle. However, it seems she's been missing from school ever since last week. On their way back, they hear a rumor about the students afflicted with apathy syndrome. They claim that they used to hang out at a place behind the train station. Junpei, Yukari, and Makoto discuss their options at the burger place. We can only assume Mitsuru wasn't invited because she doesn't know what a burger is. They cast a vote about whether they should visit it or not. After tallying one hell yes, one hell no, and one I don't really give a fuck, they decide to head there anyways because Yukari is just built different. After arriving, Takeba shades on some guy's haircut and a fight breaks out. Listen, I've tried not to bring up the game too much during this review. However, they did Makoto way too good in this scene. This is what the original scene looks like.
This bitch is a real pain in the ass, isn't she?
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no.
Getting back on track, they lose the fight. However, thanks to divine intervention or plot reasons, the local homeless man has arrived to show these guys his cool new forehead piercing. We also learn that his name is Shinjiro Aragaki. Oh, so at least now I have a destinatory for my love letter. Now I just need the address. Takeba asks Shinji about the rumors. He explains that the girls used to hang out here and that they were bullying Fuka. Since she hasn't come home in a week, people are suspecting that they might have killed her, which has sparked the ghost stories. They report to Mitsuru, and she uses her student council president privileges to schedule an appointment with Natsuki, one of the girls who bullied Fuka. She confesses that they locked Fuka in the gym on after-school hours. However, fearing for her safety, two of her friends returned that night to check on her. After they didn't return, Natsuki opened the gym next morning only to find Fuka missing. Now, as funny as the image of Fuka grinding away at the gym for 10 days straight is, the team concludes that, since she has the potential, she has been transported to Tartarus. This would mean that Fuka has been surviving the dark hour for 10 hours straight. and I need you to understand how insane this is. The Seas team goes into Tartarus as a team of 3, with weapons, personas, a navigator, and literally anything else I could ever want. And then there's this 150cm girl that is built like a bag of dry noodles from a Tesco that goes in, raw dogs 10 hours in Tartarus with no persona, no equipment, and probably just eating drywall as her only form of sustenance. Fuuka is the strongest character in the Persona series, and I'm not hearing anyone else out. Anyway, Junpei comes up with a plan to rescue Fuuka by entering the same way she did. But if they do this, there is no guarantee that they will be able to find an exit, so the team is divided on what to do.
山岸さんのことも助けてあげたい。どうでもいいくせに頼まれたから戦うだけなら来ないで。そういうのすっごくイライラする。
わかった。おい、わかったって。ちょっと待てよ、誠。
Because of their disagreement, Makoto will be guarding Natsuki at the dorm, since they fear she might follow them. They break into the school and split off in 2 teams. Junpei and Akihiko will go to Tartarus, and Mitsuru and Yukari will stay at the entrance in case they die or something. Yukari seems to have reservations about working with Mitsuru, because the relationship diagram of this team looks like a pentagram.
You have literally one job!
Natsuki runs off to the school, but unfortunately... yeah, that. Junpei and Akihiko have lost communication with Mitsuru, but they do manage to find Fuuka. As luck would have it, Fuuka has managed to evade all the shadows thanks to her detection powers, which are even stronger than Mitsuru's. Akihiko then proceeds to embody the American spirit and can her a gun with no further explanation. Both Makoto and Akihiko realize at the same time that it is a full moon night, just like the day of the monorail, which means that another powerful shadow will appear soon. The mysterious lawyer boy shows up to confirm this theory, which he actually knew all along, but decided to say nothing about because he thought it would be funnier that way.
このままだとみんな死ぬよ。
死ぬ？死ぬ。
受け入れるのかい？
They reestablish communication with Mitsuru, and it seems she's in danger. So, with Fuuka's help, they manage to find a route to the first floor, where they found both Mitsuru and Yukari getting bodied by 2 shadows. Luckily, Akihiko's tummy no longer hurts, so it's time for him to finally do something. They take down the shadows, however, they get back up, and this time they're immune to their personas.
Come to me and let it be one.
無茶だ。戻れ。
分かってます。
Fuuka summons her persona, Lucia, who manifests the power of curling up into a ball and crying. It's exactly as helpful as you think it is. By now, things are looking bleak. Lucia won't be able to protect Fuuka for much longer, and the rest of the team is on the floor looking for their contact glasses. Damn, if only there was like a motorized vehicle that could function during the dark hours. Fuuka's persona reveals her true power, which allows her to identify enemy weaknesses. This gives Junpei an opening and the team a chance to stand back up and get back to the fight. shadows are defeated and the Dark Hour ends for tonight. A week later, Fuka is back at school, in the process of becoming a full member of SEAS. She also befriends Natsuki, marking the start of a beautiful friendship that has absolutely nothing homosexual about it. And at last, Junpei, Yukari, and Makoto become a close group of friends.
友達を助けに来たのよ。
Going into this movie, I wasn't expecting it to be so faithful to the original games. However, I really liked how they handled all the characters and their characterizations. I really like how this movie introduces all the elements of the plot that will be important in the next 3 movies. And even on its own, I think it's a really fun watch. So all in all, if you're curious about this anime adaptation, I really encourage you to check it out. Likewise, if you haven't played Persona 3, well, go buy it, it's like $10. Anyway, I'd love to cover all the movies eventually. However, this has been all for today. Thank you for watching and have a great one.